Ghostface, why the mask? You've always hidden behind that plastic smile, but deep down, what are you really trying to prove? Every time you've picked up that knife, you've left behind a trail of fear and blood, but does it really make you stronger? Let's talk about what really drives you. Fear, power, revenge, but what if I told you there's a different way to use that energy? A way to actually make a mark, not as a villain, but as someone who changes lives for the better. Remember that time when you toyed with your victims, playing mind games before going in for the kill? You think that gives you control, don't you? But what if you used that same cunning to outsmart the real monsters in this world? Corruption, greed, injustice. Imagine using your skills to expose those who really deserve to be unmasked. You could be the hero, the one who sees through the lies and manipulates the manipulators. Take Sydney Prescott, for example. She stood up to you time and time again, not because she's stronger, but because she's fighting for something real. What if you took a page from her book? Instead of hunting down your next victim, why not hunt down your own demons? That anger, that need for revenge, it's consuming you, but it doesn't have to. You could channel that rage into something bigger than yourself. Think about all the times you've snuck up on someone, phone in hand, voice distorted, asking, "What's your favorite scary movie?" What if instead you asked, "What's your greatest fear?" and then helped them face it? You could be a force for change, helping people confront their deepest fears, showing them they're stronger than they think, and in doing so, maybe you'd find that you're stronger too. You've got the power to create fear, but you also have the power to inspire. It's all about what you choose to do with it. You've always been good at hiding in the shadows, but maybe it's time to step into the light, to show the world that even someone like you can change, that you're not just the sum of your worst actions, but someone who can actually make a difference. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it'll be easy. Redemption never is. But think about what you could achieve if you turned your focus from destruction to creation. Imagine the lives you could touch if you used your knowledge of fear to help people overcome their own. You could be a legend, not as Ghostface the killer, but as Ghostface the Redeemer. Now don't roll your eyes. I know this all sounds a bit too heroic for someone like you, but consider this. Every hero has a dark past. Every hero has faced their own darkness before finding the light. What if this is your chance to be more than just another slasher villain? What if this is your moment to rewrite your story? You've spent so long hiding behind that mask. Maybe it's time to take it off and see what you're really made of. The world is full of ghosts, people haunted by their past, by their mistakes, by their fears. You could be the one to help them find peace. You could be the one who helps them see that they're not alone in the darkness. And in doing so, maybe you'd find that you're not alone either. You've always been the one hunting, the one controlling the game. But what if you let go of that control? What if you allowed yourself to be vulnerable, to be human? It's terrifying, I know. But isn't that what makes life worth living? The risk, the uncertainty, the possibility of something more. You've always been obsessed with horror, but maybe it's time to look at the other side of the coin. To see that life isn't just about fear and death, but also about hope and redemption. You've got a choice, Ghostface. You can continue down this path, hiding behind that mask, or you can step into the light and become something more. You've seen the way people look at you, the terror, the panic. You've gotten a thrill from it, haven't you? But let me ask you something. Has that fear ever really filled the void inside you? Has it ever made you feel truly alive? Or has it only left you more hollow, more desperate for the next thrill? Because here's the thing, fear is a fleeting high. It gives you a rush, sure, but it never lasts. And after all these years, aren't you tired of the chase? Aren't you ready for something more meaningful? Think back to all the times you've plotted and schemed, all the plans you've set in motion. You've always been a step ahead, always thinking 10 moves ahead of everyone else. But what if, for once, You use that strategic mind of yours to build instead of destroy. What if you put that genius to work for something bigger than yourself? Something that could actually leave a positive mark on the world. You've always been fascinated by the idea of immortality, of leaving a legacy that can't be erased. But legacies built on blood and terror, they fade. They get washed away by the tides of time. People forget, or worse, they only remember the fear and the pain. Is that really how you want to be remembered? As a ghost, a shadow, something that people fear in the dark? Or would you rather be remembered as someone who turned their life around, who found a way to use their darkness for good? You've got this twisted charisma, this way of drawing people in, even as you're scaring them out of their wits. That's a power, Ghostface, and it's rare. But what if you use that power to inspire instead of intimidate? Imagine the impact you could have if you started to use your voice, not to threaten, but to uplift. You could become a voice for the voiceless, someone who stands up for those who can't stand up for themselves. Remember that time when you almost had Sydney, so close, yet she slipped through your fingers? You've been chasing her, trying to prove that you're unstoppable. But what if you stopped chasing and started leading? What if you became the kind of person she could respect, not fear? You've always been obsessed with her because she represents everything you're not: strong, resilient, unwilling to back down. But here's the twist. You could be all those things too if you just stopped running from yourself. And let's talk about the mask for a second. You wear it to hide, to separate yourself from the world, to become something other than human. But what if you took it off? What if you allowed yourself to be vulnerable, to be seen for who you really are? I know the idea scares you more than any knife ever could, but think about it. True strength comes from embracing your fears, not hiding behind them. You've always loved the thrill of the hunt, the way your heart races as you close in on your prey. But have you ever considered what it would be like to hunt something else? Something bigger, something that actually matters. Imagine hunting down the demons that plague society, the real monsters who hide behind masks of respectability. You could be the one who exposes them, who brings them to justice. And in doing so, you'd be facing your own demons too. There's a part of you that knows this isn't the life you want, that knows there's more to you than just the mask and the knife. You've felt it, haven't you? That emptiness, that longing for something more. You've tried to fill it with fear and violence, but it never works, does it? Because deep down, what you really want is to be seen, to be understood, to be loved. You've spent so long building this persona, this terrifying image, that you've forgotten what it's like to be human. But it's not too late, Ghostface. It's never too late to change. You can take all that pain, all that anger, and use it to fuel something good. You can turn your life around, but only if you're willing to let go of the past, to let go of the mask. Think about all the lives you've taken, all the futures you've stolen. What if, instead of taking, you started giving? What if you used your skills, your intelligence, your drive to make the world a better place? You could start small, helping someone in need, standing up for someone who can't stand up for themselves. And from there, who knows? Maybe you could become a symbol of hope, a reminder that even the darkest among us can find the light. You've been running from your own darkness for so long, but what if you stopped running? What if you turned around and faced it head on? It's not going to be easy. In fact, it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. But if you can do it, if you can find the courage to face yourself, you might just find that the person behind the mask is worth saving. You've always had a fascination with horror, with the macabre, with the things that go bump in the night. But here's the truth, Ghostface. The real horror isn't out there in the world, it's inside of you. It's the fear of being seen, the fear of being vulnerable, the fear of being human. But if you can confront that fear, if you can face it and conquer it, you'll find that you're capable of so much more than you ever imagined. You've been living in a nightmare for so long, but it doesn't have to be this way. You can wake up, you can find a way out, you can find a way to turn your darkness into light. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to happen overnight. But if you're willing to take that first step, if you're willing to start the journey, you might just find that the light at the end of the tunnel is worth it.